Oh, thank the world, thank everything that I have in my bones, because when WWE Raw did start this evening, they had put NXT performers in the crowd and the atmosphere was just so good. Look, before you all get going, I don't care if they copied AEW, I don't even care if Vince McMahon had the idea 72 years ago and only decided to employ it now. I don't even care if next week they put a bunch of goats and sheep out there. As long as there is some kind of atmosphere, this bored asshole is a happy guy. And we also had like perspex barriers down the entranceway and around the crowd, which I assume is what WWE is going to do when they allow fans back in. And that was kind of a cool look to it. Made Raw look different, and I ain't got no problems with any of this. But my name is Simon Miller. If you're thinking, did Simon just wiggle his cheeks together? Yes, I did. Let's find out if Raw was a good show, or let's find out if Raw absolutely sucked. I thrusted, no thrust rule. Let's up those doubts. Kevin Owens was out to kick off the show very handedly with the Kevin Owens show, and his guests were Nia Jax and Asuka and Charlotte Flair and Natalya, and before all was said and done, everybody was just having a big fight. Now again, this was just so much easier to watch as you did have people hoopering and hollering in the crowd, and I do have to say that no, at no time did WWE try to justify why Charlotte Flair or Natalya were in this match. In fact, the focus for a lot of it was Natty saying to Kevin Owens, "Kevin, I'm really sorry. I destroyed your set last week." And then Charlotte got in the microphone and went, "It doesn't mean you're going to win the match just because you apologized." No, Charlotte, I don't think anybody on the planet thought that. Eventually, like I say, Nia Jax was out there as well, and Kevin Owens went, "Asuka, please don't punch Nia Jax right in the face." So Asuka did indeed punch Nia Jax right in the face. And look, I'll just say this, it was fine. It did the job setting up the Triple H match later. Kevin Owens is just a bundle of fun whenever he's out there. It can have it up. And if you are wondering on top of all of that, why on earth Kevin Owens would want to do his talk show featuring these three women, don't worry, I figured it out. That's right, we're here backstage in WWE, and it's time to decide what will happen on Raw using the Hat of Dreams. And what we do is we swingle it around and we take out one piece of paper that says Charlotte Flair, perfect. This one says Asuka, perfect. That one says Nia Jax, perfect. That one says whoever the hell was in that segment as well. And finally, Kevin Owens show. That's what we'll do to start things off. Wah! Come on! It was then Andrade versus Apollo Crews with the United States Championship on the line. Oh my gosh, the gold is up in the air. And before we even started, Apollo cut a promo where he was pumped up, he was ready, he sounded confident, and then can you believe it, the guy walked to the ring and he got the job done. This was excellent. I will say that it was utterly bizarre too, because halfway through we just cut to Angel Garza being interviewed, who compared doing a wrestling match to having sex. And he went into serious detail. He was all like, yeah, you take your penis and, you put it in the vagina and then you just have... No, he didn't say that. I've gone too far. I'm sorry. But he was making a lot of sexual analogies. And I kind of sat there like, man, I'm glad I'm not watching this with a child, because they may have turned to me and said, "Daddy," I don't have a kid, but "Daddy, can you tell me what he's talking about?" And I'd be like, I don't want to have the sex conversation with you now. Also, Zelina Vega got knocked off the apron at one point because Andrade fell into her and sold this like she'd been shot from a gun. I've seen Zelina Vega been chucked out of Royal Rumbles and been alright, but here she fell like 2 feet and she was just dead. The finish did come a little bit out of nowhere as well. I mean, Apollo Crews just slammed Andrade with the Gorilla Press slam, gave him the standing shooting star press, and that was it. He got the 1, 2, 3, but I was just so pleased for Apollo Crews, and he looked so happy, and I'm finally hoping we're actually going to push the man that I'm giving none of this anything but an absolutely wahey wahoo. I mean, it pleased me. And isn't that should be what happens? You see a good guy, see a babyface win and be victorious, and you go, ha ha ha. That's exactly what he went down. He also cut another promo afterwards where he said, no one believed in me, but now look what I've done. Let's keep this going. We're finally making it somewhere. Andrade was also shown throwing equipment around everywhere, because that guy needs to learn how to lose. And then we cut to the bonkers man, Seth Rollins, who seems to be obsessed with Rey Mysterio's mask. Like he was caressing it here, kind of sexually, before he said he is happy that Rey sacrificed himself so that Rollins could move further. I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but he does play this character very well. He introduced us to his old and new disciple, which of course is Murphy, and can you believe it, the brandly new named The. That's what Austin Theory has become. The Austin has gone, the OOY has begun, and now it's just Murphy and the, I guess you can take your pick. I'm also lying. Dominic also got mentioned here, so maybe Ray is going to return and finally have that tag team match with his son. And before the night was over, we were also told by Tom Phillips, who adopted his very somber voice, that we have breaking news. And next week here on Raw, Rey Mysterio is going to retire. Which 100% means that Rey Mysterio isn't going to retire. The point is, tonight, Seth Rollins' little buddies are going to go against Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo, and I guess they're going to be exhausted after rolling around on the floor doing kind of naughty stuff, if we're going to go with how Angel Garza sees wrestling. Charlotte then let us know that she was the best person on the roster before Asuka danced in, singing her own entrance music, and made me audibly say out loud, Asuka has been the best damn thing about these empty arena shows. Also said to the Queen, red is not your colour, Asuka kick your ass. I said it last week too, and I'm going to say it here again today. I don't care what you think. You can fire your hate bullets at me and I'll just go ping, 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 and I'll fire them back. But the Iconics are out here, and I really enjoy what WWE is doing with them. Finger of power, give it an up. Their main point here was to apologise to each other, which always makes me laugh, because like, why didn't you apologise to her in the week? Why did you wait 7 days before we won Raw? But they did both accept and then turned their attentions to WWE like, we never got any good opportunities, we were never allowed to defend our tag team titles, and now you've given them to Nikki Cross, who's a weirdo, and Alexa Bliss, who's the company's favourite blonde. Shots fired. The tag team champions then came out and they were really pissed off about this, and Nikki Cross yelled at them for a while, and Peyton Royce and Billy Kay yelled back. But eventually, the Iconics couldn't be bothered to wait around anymore, and they absolutely put a beating down on these two, and I really like this new aggression. I mean, it is going to mean that we end up with another tag team match between these two, which is kind of stupid because the Iconics blew it last week. But sometimes the ends have to justify the means. And if we are going to see an evolution of this Iconics tag team, I am all for it. Even like this, they still make me laugh though. It's their facial reaction. They're like cartoons, and I mean that as a compliment. Lana then approached MVP and said, look, we need to talk. And MVP turned to her and said, no, we don't. And he walked off. And somehow, it was the best segment of the year. It was Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. If this had ended with the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know, I think I would have laughed for 59 years. We also had a graphic for Shad Gaspard here, and it was lovely and nice, but also tragic and horrible. And let's not forget this. I think sometimes tragedy happens and we move on too quickly. Let's try and keep him in his thoughts as well as his friends and family. And of course, as always, thoughts and feelings with his friends and family. We then had another talk show segment. Oh dear. I mean, start of hour 1, Kevin Owens show, and then start of hour 2, the MVP highlight, come in my planet, whatever the hell he calls it. But you know the rules, so let's do it. Hello, welcome to Simon Says, the talk show I don't like doing, because this bald asshole always says something really horrible.
You dick.
Great. Thankfully, this was Drew McIntyre guesting on the VIP lounge, and he is so good at the moment, he has so much momentum, he can do no wrong. Because he basically came out here, he destroyed the set, because like that's what we're going to do anyway, so we may as well get it done, and then said as MVP, where is Bobby Lashley? I know he's going to attack me, I'm going to stand here and wait. And I also really like McIntyre, because when people are insulting him and saying bad things to him on the microphone like MVP was doing, he actually responds and doesn't just stand there like a goof. WWE was also really smart here, because do you remember ages ago when we were building up Drew McIntyre, it was MVP that wanted to manage him, and what did the now WWE champion do? He Claymore kicked MVP right in the face, and that's why MVP is pissed off. He turned down his offer, now he's teamed himself with Lashley, and he's gonna take the belt away from this asshole. McIntyre then went back to this whole, well, he's gonna have to rip it out of my cold dead hands. So this feud is focused on murder, but I guess he is taking on Bobby Lashley. Maybe he picks up a tire and hurls it at him. We do know he can flip him. Clearly Bobby wanted to do this because he came storming out at this point, and Drew McIntyre used that to Claymore kick MVP right in the face. And while Bob did want to go beat him up, MVP was like, no, this wasn't the time. And I swear, this was a really good segment. I like Drew McIntyre, I like MVP, I like Bobby Lashley, and I'm also enjoying these short feuds we're doing with Drew McIntyre. I hope he wins at Backlash, and then we just go into another one. It is getting it up. Then, what the flub was this? I mean, it was the equivalent. Oh, geez, hang on. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, how unprofessional. Sorry. Yes, hello? No, no, yes, no. Look, I know last week I left some milk out of the fridge, but I have bigger problems in my life, like the fact I lost all my hair. I can't talk right now. Just leave me alone. Go away. And that's what happened on Raw. I'm not kidding, genuinely. Natalya was about to do an interview, I think with Charlie Caruso or somebody, I can't remember. Her phone rang. It was TJ, her husband, and they had a row because she had destroyed the stupid Kevin Owens set last week. And then she came back to do the interview and they went, we're sorry, we're out of time. So one, somebody in WWE booked Natalya to do like a 10-second interview, so that's a waste of time. And two, in kayfabe, Natalya is so unprofessional, she decided to answer her phone when she was about to do this. I swear sometimes we just go out of our way to make Natalya look dumb when there's no need. It's a down. Natalya was so fed up after this as well. She was like, oh great, just brilliant. What a crappy life I lead. Now really that down's massively unfair because I got so much joy from this, but it was absolutely for the wrong reasons. What a lovely surprise we had next to up. Now yes, I do think Kevin Owens should be higher up the card because he did defeat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, but he was having a match with Angel Garza here and it just ticked every single box I had. Because it was filled with so much story. Like Angel Garza attacked Kevin Owens before the bell and he ruined his knee so much, KO was never able to get going. That's how it finished too. Kevin was going to win the match, his knee buckled, Angel Garza took advantage of that, he hit him with some kind of sex move, I mean the wing clipper, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, Angel Garza beat Kevin Owens. The commentators did a wonderful job here as well because they reacted like aliens had just come down and given everyone $10 million because they couldn't believe what they had seen. And I have absolutely no idea where this is going, but it surprised me, intrigued me. I can't wait. Good stuff. It was then time for more nonsense with the Street Profits. And I have one very serious question to ask. We here on Ups and Downs would like to send out a request to find out where the hell Bianca Belair is. She was last seen a few months ago teaming with the Street Profits and doing a pretty good job as a manager, trying to steer them in the right direction. But ever since then, we haven't heard from her. There's been no word from the commentators. We're all a little bit worried. So if you are Bianca Belair or you are hanging out with her right now, all you need to do is call, where the hell did Bianca Belair go? We are waiting for your call. Moving on, the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders were playing golf this week, and I know a lot of people don't like these, and the ratings come out and they go, whatever, I don't care. I think they're really entertaining, I think they're really fun. I just enjoy going outside of the Performance Center, but also you can just tell that all four of these guys are having a laugh with it. It's filling them with glee. I felt gleeful too. It's getting it up. I also think WWE is getting better at editing them. This was more like a montage, and it was far shorter than the other ones, and of course it ended with them all getting kicked off the golf course because they don't have any golf etiquette. A stray ball also hit a golfer at one point, and because I'm a moron, I will always laugh at that. And eventually they wound up playing mini golf, and Eric and Ivar, the doofuses, thought they had won because they had the highest score, but obviously in golf, you're trying to do the opposite. It ended really strangely with like an almost Mary Poppins skit where Eric and Ivar were pulling random things out of the golf hole before they were all scared off by an alligator. And no one has ever said that sentence in the entirety of the world. But these are proper nuts. Again, they do break up the pacing of the show, and I'm never gonna be mad about that. Back to Raw, and Lana was still trying to make amends with MVP, and she bought him a bag of ice here, although there was the undertones of sarcasm. But MVP still doesn't care. He's like, look, just leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with you. And I kind of think that's what WWE should do. Just move Lana away from all of this. MVP and Bobby Lashley are better together. Although I do appreciate that they didn't just do that, and they're actually trying to give us a story. Because let's face it, in the past they would have done. Our next match was Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo taking on Murphy and V. And I thought this would be the one that WWE actually gave some time to. They didn't. I think it was less than 5 minutes. But it's still good, and again, narrative up. It was obvious who was going to win too, because Humberto was in this match, and Humberto is a chump. And really, if Aleister Black cares about his win-loss record, he needs to get away from Mr. Carrillo, because as we know, he always loses. So it's not his fault he's a chump. He's booked to lose, but he's still Humberto. He got ATL'd by V, and that was that, but it's the aftermath, it's the fallout that we need to focus on, because Seth Rollins was all of a sudden in the ring, and he was directing his two goons, and they took Humberto's face, and they were gonna do what they did to Rey Mysterio a few weeks ago. They were gonna blind his eye. And as screwed up as it sounds, I like the fact that they're doing this, because if you are in some crazy cult, you better be doing some crazy cult things, like taking out people's vision. It ended with a standoff with everybody backing down because Aleister Black had a chair, and he's like, if you do that, I will break all your bones, and everybody did calm down. And also next week, we're gonna get Aleister Black versus Seth Rollins. I'm quite looking forward to it. Sit down Edge promo after this, and I really could listen to Edge talk all day long. I mean, eventually I get bored, but up. Because he has way too much time on his hands, he had figured out that when he was retired, Randy Orton had had over 1,000 matches, whereas the Rated R superstar had 0. I mean, that's just standard maths, you can work it out. But that's why he was tongue-tied a few weeks ago. It kind of got in his head where he's like, oh boy, I hope I'm not rusty. He then reeled off a who's who's list of who he has taken on in the past, and he mentioned all the big names you can imagine, and it's there. It's because of that he's going to reach deep down inside himself and prove that he can still go. And if he can't, well, he will lose to the Viper. Just so simple. And look, let's face it, it is not going to be the greatest match ever, as much as WWE wants to tell us it is, but now that it is going to have crowd atmosphere, it will probably be pretty damn good. We then had a strange twist in the tale, because the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders were trying to decide what they should do next week, and they focused on bowling, when MVP and Bobby Lashley went up to them, and MVP was just like, you guys are a waste of space, and you're a waste of talent. My reaction was like, no they're not. Doesn't matter if they are goofing around every single week, they're still the Raw Tag Team Champions. Anyway, MVP did challenge them to a match, and that is going to be our main event. Charlotte versus Nia versus Natty was next, and it was actually a very good match, but I just couldn't get out of my head how this makes no sense out of context, and how it was just so telegraphed who was going to win. And 9 times out of 10 that's good in wrestling, but this was the 10 out of 10 bit. There was too much stuff around it. It's getting it down. Charlotte and Natty just threw Nia Jax through a table at one point, and Asuka, who was on commentary, I guess was desperate for Nia Jax to win, because she went and got her and chucked her back in the ring. And of course, you already know, you've already figured it out. It was Natalya that took the Samoan drop. She lost. Nia Jax is your new #1 contender. I dread the phone call she's gonna have with TJ later. What I did love was that afterwards, Asuka was so damn happy with the result, and that should always be the way. She's your champion, she's in control, she should be confident. And also, like I say, nonsense aside, these three did work really well together. There was some really smart out spots, so I can't crap over it too much, so it's also gonna get an up. You can call me a hypocrite, but again, pow pow pow, shield. Another quick chat with Drew McIntyre, who was going to leave the arena, but then he found out what the main event was going to be. Was Bobby Lashley. He was like, ha, I've left something in the locker room. I wonder what that could mean. Just a quick aside too, after this, WWE had an old school segment sponsored by DQ. You couldn't make it up. Rob Gronkowski was then on Raw. So I guess the 24/7 title is coming back sooner than we thought. But he was responding to a promo that R-Truth had cut on social media, where he also called R-Truth our lies. It's like a 7-year-old insult you do in the playground. But he also went on to go, you are never going to be able to get this belt back, because eyes have eyes in the back of my head. Let's say he does have eyes in the back of his head. He then took a pair of sunglasses and put them on reverse. Rob Gronkowski, what are you doing? If you do indeed, like I say, have eyes in the back of your head, you don't want to dim your vision, because then you're not going to see R-Truth coming. What an absolute doofus. I have no idea what's going to happen here, but I do know with 100% certainty, it will end with a surprise roll-up. MVP then stole my gimmick when he was asked why the hell would you want this main event against the Street Profits, and he pointed at Bobby Lashley and went, here's why, although he didn't slap his head. And we had Ric Flair on his iPhone telling us that he thinks Randy Orton is the greatest professional wrestler ever, and he will beat Edge at Backlash. That kind of came out of nowhere. And this then transitioned into another promo in the back featuring Liv Morgan, and unfortunately she has pulled the short straw here because she actually did a good job. I'll talk about it in just 1 second, but you kind of did get this feeling at this point, man, we have just gone promo. It's like anything. Pacing is really important for the show, we've already talked about that, so just too many this week, down. However, I still really like Liv Morgan. I think she has such a bright future, and also her promos recently have been utterly mad. Like, she looks at you and she goes, hey guys, it's all upbeat and lovely, and then throws in, like she did here, oh, by the way, I have no self-worth. And you're like, damn! She did tell us that she is indeed living her best life though, and that she started to find herself as a person as soon as she found professional wrestling. I am calling it right now. Before the end of 2020, Liv Morgan is going to be crucial to WWE. It was then the Street Profits versus MVP and Bobby Lashley, and I just don't get why WWE does this kind of stuff. You have your Raw Tag Team Champions, who in storyline should be the best pairing on your roster. That's why they hold the gold. And yet here, they kind of just got their asses handed to them by MVP and Bobby Lashley and couldn't even finish the match because Bobby Lashley went out of his mind before it was over. He wasn't a legal man, and he locked on the full Nelson onto Montez Ford, and the ref was like, I'm going to give you a count of 5. He did that. Bob was like, yeah, I couldn't give 2 hoots. And of course, he got disqualified. I'm going to have to start a stupid DQ counter soon. Not yet, we'll see. Down. And it was even more ridiculous because Drew McIntyre came out after this, and that was cool. They started this big brawl, but the referee was so panicked and he didn't know what to do, he just ignored the Perspex glass rule and told the wrestlers in the crowd, quick get in here and try and break these two up. And 2 people couldn't do it, so then it was 4, then it was 6, then it was 8, and social distancing had just been chucked out the window. They kept on coming like Bond villains, but I've got to say this, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre and everything WWE has done, well, they have created an excellent feud here, and I can't wait to see that match. That means it's been an utter success, and we've still got a couple of weeks to go, so in that sense, it's getting it up. They weren't broken up eventually, and Bobby Lashley chucked his arm pad at Drew McIntyre, and that made me laugh. I think the real key here is that Drew is selling Bobby Lashley like he is a serious threat, and therefore he will not take him laying down. And again, that's all I need. If I see a performer doing it, it travels out the TV, it smacks me in the head, and I'm like, oh, maybe Bobby Lashley can win. I mean, he can't, I don't think, but look, there you go, you see, I wasn't 100% confident. So I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed this episode of Raw. I think a huge part was just because it felt different, because we had people in the crowd, and the Perspex hockey things are kind of badass. But what are you going to do? The 3 hours flew by, there were too many promos and backstage skits, but we've addressed that, and on paper, Backlash ain't too bad at all. So when we're talking about overall, it is getting an up. Get mad. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know how much you think I'm a bored asshole. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and then what do? All together, watch more videos on WhatCulture Wrestling. Why did I sing? My name is Simon from WhatCulture. It's another hot day. Ignore my red face. I will see you throughout the week.